Hello children. So we have started revision of our bridge course, that is from 7th and connecting it with the 8th standard. So today we are going to study properties of water that we have studied in our earlier class. We all know that water is a abiotic factor but very important for our survival. So there are certain different factors related to water. If you take a bottle that is filled with refrigerated water, very cool water in a bottle, and put it outside the refrigerator, what is very cool, and keep it outside on the table, what will happen? What's going to happen? We all have seen actually that water droplets will be seen on this bottle, as well as some water will be collected on this table also. Why this thing is happening? What is the reason? Can you recall? We have studied it in earlier class that the surrounding atmosphere, we all know, is a mixture of gases along with water vapors, isn't it? So what's happening when this atmospheric water vapor comes in contact with this cool water? They melt down, their temperature goes down and they go into liquid state. From the vapor state to liquid state they move on, and therefore these water droplets are seen to be collected outside the bottle, which is not the water that is inside. It is the water vapor that is present in the atmosphere. The temperature goes down, cools down, and therefore the water droplets are seen on this bottle. So air in the surrounding gets cool and water droplets appear on the bottle. Another property also we have seen that if you consider a lake, suppose this is a lake and certain layer of water is present in it. This is the water body, a pond or a lake you can consider. During winter, not in our area, but in polar regions or near Himalayas and all, we have seen that during winters, what happens? The upper layer gets converted into ice. In that case, where do the water organisms like your fishes and other water living organisms, where do they go? If all the water gets converted into ice, where do these organisms survive? Or can they survive in ice also? No, it's not like that. Actually, the outer temperature as it goes down, what happens? The upper layer only that is coming in contact with the atmospheric temperature, that cools down and converts into ice, and the water below this ice layer is liquid only, where the water organisms survive. So it is understood that the temperature of surface water, which is on the top layer, only changes the water present at the bottom. Okay, and thus this bottom water is not going to change along with the change in the atmospheric temperature. Only this one layer will change its temperature due to the atmosphere as it coming in contact directly with it. But the layers below, they are just not going to change. their temperature will be as it is, and water organisms can survive in these type of ponds, which we seem to be frozen at the top level. Okay, this property of water is actually called as anomalous behavior of water. Okay. So this property of water is called as anomalous behavior of water. Why? Because only the water that is going to come in contact with the atmosphere changes its state. It's cool, it will cool down or melt down, whatever. The upper layer will change its temperature and the lower layers of water will not change its temperature. And this is the result that water organisms can survive below this ice layer also. In some movies or Discovery Channel, you all must have seen this type of ponds where the upper layer has converted into ice and the lower layers are still in the liquid state where the water organisms are surviving. So these are certain properties of water that we have studied earlier also. Today we are just revising. One more thing I want to discuss today with you is, what do you mean by scalar and vector quantities? Scalar quantities and vector quantities. You recall a little bit that we have studied earlier, the scalar quantity, what it is actually is physical quantity with only magnitude. It is a physical quantity having magnitude. Could be more, it could be less. Only magnitude is there in these physical quantities. While on the other hand, vector quantity, if you consider, is a physical quantity. This is also a physical quantity. But here it is having both magnitude and along with magnitude, it do have direction. In that case now, which quantities can be scalar and which be vector? We can decide on the basis of this information. Now, what are quantities are having only magnitude, less, more, this. In that case, they will be scalar quantity, and the vector quantities are going to have, along with magnitude, it's going to have direction also. So certain physical quantities that we have studied up till now are area. You all have studied area. Find the area of a square, cube, whatever in your geometry section. Then we can have, you see, electric charge. Electric charges are there. They are also to be measured. Then more physical quantities that we have come across up till now are force. Force is also a physical quantity. Then weight, distance, displacement, Have you heard the term displacement along with distance? Distance is different and displacement is different. Though they seem to be a little bit similar. Displacing means moving something from one place to another, and distance means the amount of traveled portion, isn't it? So we are going to decide now which one is going to be scalar and which one will be vector. More physical quantities if we add to these could be mass of any object. Mass means what? The number of molecules of or atoms present in that object. Okay. So these are certain physical quantities. Now we are going to separate them into scalar and vector quantities. If we consider area, the first one, area, the first physical quantity, here you see area, if we consider in the form of geometrical words, geometrical terms, in geometry we have to put it into scalar quantity. Why? Because surface area has magnitude but no direction. So area is always quantity where to put it in scalar or vector. It is always a dilemma. Why? Because if we consider the area in geometry, here surface area you see is having magnitude but no direction. Therefore, geometrical area, if you're going to consider, it's going to go in the scalar quantity section. But in physics is another subject. In physics, if you consider, it do has magnitude as well as direction, and therefore it is being put into vector quantity for physics subject. Okay, so area is the one which was having dilemma. The other physical quantities, if you consider, we can perfectly put them into scalar or vector quantity. The second one that we are going to consider is electric charge. Electric charge is, it could be more, it could be less. So magnitude is there, but no direction. Therefore, electric charge, we are going to put into scalar quantity. No direction is related to it. Okay. On the other hand, if you come to force, okay, force is applied. So magnitude of the force of pushing or pulling. What is force actually? Force is push or pull of any object. So how much force you are utilizing to push the object or not, along with its direction, in which direction you are pushing, that also is considered. Therefore, it's an example of vector. Okay. Next, if you come to say weight of any object depends upon the gravitational pull of the earth. If you take the same object to the moon, the weight will be reduced by 1/6 because gravitational pull on moon is 1/6 of that of the earth. So weight is also decided or depending upon the direction along with its pull, gravitational pull, isn't it? So weight also we are going to put into your vector quantity. Before your next year, you're going to have this difference between displacement, distance and all. You should know all these terms, and why they are put into scalar category or vector category, that also you need to understand. Next one, if we consider after weight, we can take distance. For distance, you see, any object is moving with what much magnitude, but there is no direction to distance. In any direction, it could be. Therefore, distance is again a scalar quantity. Next is the mass. Mass also depends upon the number of atoms and molecules that are present in any object. So it has nothing to do with direction. Therefore, again, mass is put into your scalar quantity. Further, if we are going to consider displacement, any object is displaced from one place to another. Consider this just as an any object. I am putting it, changing its position. So I am displacing it. So direction is also available to them. Isn't it? To east, towards the west, towards which direction I'm displacing that object. So displacement is actually a vector quantity, because your direction is also considered along with magnitude. Further, mass and velocity. So you see, speed and velocity are also the physical quantities that we need to understand. Speed of any object, say a car or a vehicle or a truck, speed, if we are considered, say 60 kilometers per hour, the vehicle is moving or the train is moving. In that case, we are not discussing here about the direction of that vehicle. In that case, speed is going to be a scalar quantity, but velocity we have direction also. So velocity is a vector quantity. Okay, so these are certain commonly used physical quantities in our physics part of our science, and that we all need to understand why they are different from each other. Scalar quantities, only magnitude is considered. On the other hand, in vector quantities, magnitude along with direction is considered. And these many physical quantities today we have discussed, you can note it down and study them and try to understand why we have put them into two different categories. On the other hand, area, which is putting us always in a dilemma. If in geometrical terms we are considering area of any surface, there is no direction, so area goes in the scalar quantity category. But in physics, if we are going to consider area of something, their direction is also considered. So in physics, area is being added into vector quantity. So these are certain things actually that we have studied in earlier class also. Today we are just revising. So read this again and try to memorize it so that you can do with the other topics that are coming up next with ease. Okay. So thank you all of you. Enough for the day. Bye bye.